So let's take a look at the flowers on the northeast side of the grove. The very first tree to look at is this one, which is our last totally Hayden tree. And look at all the blooms there on the south side of the tree. Now this Hayden tree has been converted to Angie, and we've got some blooms there on the top of the Angie portion. That also is bloom from Angie. This is another Kaylee K tree, which I'm not seeing the flowers on that. This is Angie here, so Kaylee K is just growing in between the Angie. This is unfortunate. This is the original Kaylee K tree, and it's not doing great. I'm assuming that it's from a lot of, partly because of the construction outside, but also the soil in this area might not be quite the same as the rest of the grove. So anyway, got some backup. It's always nice to have backup when you have a good variety. Oops. We can start over here, going through the untamed area of the grove. This is Dot, and it's got like a lot of nice bloom on the south side of the tree. It's a jackfruit that's not looking so promising. Here is a tree that I've been top working. I'm not crazy about the original variety, and so it's cut back to top work, but I haven't been right on top of that project yet. This is Bailey's Marvel, tons of marvelous flowers there. This is Malika, no flowers yet. Here's Carrie with a lot of emerging bloom. Now this is a Carrie seedling project. Planted Carrie seedlings in a cluster here years ago, and unfortunately, but of course, one of the seedlings dominated, so we have basically one tree and then a few Carrie seedlings underneath. I've been trying to get scions from them so that those varieties won't be lost in the long term. And then these are more seedling trees, so another part of the experiment. And so none of those have flowered yet. I've been grafting onto parts of them. And this big tree here is turpentine. Lots of flowers on turpentine. So it's right on the other side of turpentine is Valkyrie. We've got a lot of flowers on this section of the tree. I'm assuming we'll get a lot of flowers on the rest of the tree soon. Now this is interesting. I guess you get to be on your own here, Rue. This is also lemon meringue, and in the other parts of the grove we really haven't seen a lot of flowers, but this section of this tree, a lot of lemon meringue flowers. This is also lemon meringue, and even though it's just right across the drive from that's one of our access areas, I'm really not seeing, well, I see some flowers in the center of the tree, but it's not up high, so I don't know if you can see that, but most of the tree, no flowers. Oh, we have one little area here that has flowers too. Then Rosa. Rosa's just an enthusiastic plant. It always has a lot of flowers. When we first looked at it like a month ago, there was just a few flowers on the top. Now we have just a lot of flowers. This is the west side of the tree. It's a little bit, or northwest, so it's a little bit slower to flower than the others. Here on the south side, a lot of flowers. This is Pineapple Pleasure. It looks like it's making lots of nice bloom. And over here is Carrie. A lot of emerging bloom there also. This particular tree is Sweet Tart. I'll make sure I got the right one. Yes, it is. A lot of our Sweet Tarts are not blooming yet, but that top part of the tree, we've got bloom. Over here is Nam Doc Mai, and we've got a little bit of bloom on the south side of the tree here. Most of the tree is not blooming yet. It's right up there, a little bit over here. We've got Duncan here. A lot of nice Duncan bloom. Oh, looking right into the sun. Here's more Carrie. This tree used to be Irwin and converted it to Carrie. We cannot grow enough Carrie. And this tree is Fairchild, used to be Fairchild. And I really wanted to put St. Maui on it, so there's a lot of St. Maui on this tree. And then there's one area that I hadn't grafted yet, so I put Sia Tong over here. Sia Tong is a variety that very, very similar to Nam Doc Mai, except for the fruit are supposedly twice as big and the skin is yellow. So that sounded very interesting to me. But you can see a big difference in the leaves. The St. Maui is lighter, yellow, kind of yellowish green, and this is different, and the growth habit's very different. This is very straight and very sturdy. St. Maui's sort of curves a little bit more. So no flowers yet, but we're hoping it would be lovely to get either one or even both of those varieties. Here is, on the bottom part is Venus, and I left the top part as Zill. That's not Zill Indo-Chinese, that's not Super Zill, anything. That's the original Zill variety. Very nice fruit, a little bit small compared to other fruit, other mango varieties, but we're going to have, it looks like we're going to have a nice Zill year. We had a rather major branch break from Zill, I think it was last year, because there was so much fruit on it, and you can't even tell now. It's filled out, a lot of Zill growth there on the top. So this is Duncan, and it's our first Duncan tree. It's our biggest, and the main bloom I'm seeing is the very top of the tree. This is a Van Dyke tree, and I'm going to leave part of this as Van Dyke, but basically there are a lot of exciting varieties that I wanted to put in the grove. Right now I'm working on putting creme brulee on this, so there's some grafts there, and right now we are not seeing any flowers on Van Dyke, but I'm guessing that these areas that I left pretty much intact. I mean, it got cut back quite severely, but I'm thinking we might see flowers later on that. This is Glen. A little bit of flowers here and there. This is our original dot tree. So this has been in the grove for like coming up on 21 years. And it's got a lot of flowers there on top. Dot usually has a really long season, so I'm assuming that we'll keep seeing flowers come out for the next several weeks. This is Beverly. got Beverly on both sides here, and we've got some flowers on the top of that tree and a little bit of emerging flowers here. Now, Beverly is a nice late variety, so it's not a problem that it doesn't have flowers yet. If it flowers later, the fruit will just be available later. This is Southern Blush, and I am seeing some sort of strange looking flowers on the very top of the tree. It looks like possibly, I'm not sure if that was, if the leaves had gotten blown off of a new stem and then the flowers are emerging, but it looks very strange. It's not sort of a typical construction for flowers, flower panicles. But we've got some, and hopefully we'll get some more on Southern Blush. So here is one of our Glen trees, and I'm seeing a little bit of flowers on the top of the tree. Not a lot of flowers so far. Over on this side is Edgar. I actually top worked this several years ago, and there's a lot of flowers on it. So I'm hoping for a lot of Edgar fruit this year. It's got a real different flavor from a lot of other mangoes, so it'd be good to have more people be able to try that. This one is lemon meringue, I believe. Got a lot more flowers on this tree than most of the other lemon meringue. It's another Glen tree, and not a lot of flowers yet. Seeing some way up on top. But here we go. Look at this. This is Edward. It's one of the first trees to flower. On the first flower video, a Monday Minute, I think there were just, like a handful of panicles, and now the tree is almost completely covered with flowers. So that would be lovely to have a nice Edward year. Here is our oldest Julie tree. Everything else is pretty much top worked, and I'm seeing very, very small flowers right now. They're just starting to emerge. So of course we'll get fruit on this tree, but it's behind the top work trees. So it's just interesting that this particular location is not quite as good for flowers, possibly a little bit later. It's going to have plenty of flowers. It's just they're slightly later than the rest of the Julie. And here is Bombay. Got Bombay flowers right up there. Around the side, I am not seeing much. The Bombay action is on the top of the tree. Here we left a pretty large vertical branch when we were trimming. That will cut way back after the fruit are finished, but right now it's holding a lot of flowers. So this is also Glen, also not impressive with flowers. And here we have Dot. This is the original Dot tree, the 21 years ago we planted it, and we have some flowers, a lot of flowers on the top. Now Dot is known for having a long season. Of course, it's a delicious fruit also, and so we've got flowers now, but I'm guessing over the next several weeks we'll get more flowers. Having all those flowers at different times makes for a long season for the fruit. This is one of our Kent trees. We've cut that back a lot a couple of years ago. Right now I am not seeing flowers, but I'm assuming that it will flower nicely. It's like there's an old panicle from last year, so it's definitely in a calm state, perfect for flowering. Here is another Kent tree, and as you can tell, there's no flowers up there, but this is the section of the tree that is of particular interest to me. I have top worked this part of the tree to Pina Colada, and so I'm hoping for flowers from this section. I don't see any flowers yet, but the flowering season is still young. Over here is Southern Blush. I'm seeing just a few flowers here. On the south side up high, there's some flowers. We had some fruit last year, but it wasn't a real strong year for Southern Blush, so I'm hoping we have a lot more fruit in 2021. Right across the way, lots of flowers on Cushman. So even though I cut back this side of the tree quite seriously, very enthusiastically, there are just tons of flowers. So it should be a good year for Cushman. Hopefully, its conditions have to stay good for the whole time between now and June. This is another Valencia Pride. Don't see much flowering going on there. Here is Jehangir, and we have some flowers emerging right in this area, a few other areas. So hopefully it'll be a good year for Jehangir. Right next door, Juliet. A lot of flowers on Juliet. But this tree, it's on the north side of the grove, is behind by, it looks like possibly close to 2 weeks on the flowers versus the part of the Hayden tree in the, close to the house that was top worked with Juliet. That area is much more impressive than this right now. So location in the grove, different parts of the environment, possibly the water supply, the temperature, it could be all sorts of things, but there's definitely a difference in the timing of the bloom. I'll mention this. This is just another example of lemon meringue poppy-clay that is behind, on the flowering. There's just a few flowers on that. Here is Kent, which is not showing any flowers. Right next door, Jakarta. And Jakarta, of course, is half Kent, and it is just loaded. Very, very impressive flowering. So interesting that it's one of its parents is not yet flowering. So this is another Kent tree, same story. Carrie over here, which has a lot of bloom. Pettigrew, which is one of our late varieties. And on the very top, we've got a lot of bloom, but not lower down. It's got a lot more shade in this area than the top. This is Graham. And Graham is a seedling of Julie, larger fruit. We've got a lot of bloom up there. It's a nice, reliable producer. So this is a tree that I have converted to carry. So there's only one area that is not carry. It looks like this area because the leaves are quite a bit different. So I am not seeing much bloom on this yet. And then right across the way here is a Bailey's Marvel, and there's some nice bloom up toward the sky. We got a lot up high. Right next to Bailey's here we have Zillindo Chinese. Got a lot of bloom on Zillindo Chinese also. So it's got a lot of sunshine here on the south side. More bloom there. This is Pim Sangmun. And lots of bloom here. Pim Sangmun is one that is good green, good ripe, and good in between green and ripe too. This is also Pim Sangmun. Here's a Namdak Mai. And this was getting a little big, so I cut back half of the tree Thinking about top working. I'm not sure if I will, but this other part of the tree just got a little bit of bloom, not a lot. Then we have, this is one of our cogswall tree, and this on the other side is also a cogswall tree. So let's take a look. It's we have cogswall flowering in pots, but the ones in the ground, not, I mean, I see this one area of this tree is blooming quite nicely, but the rest of the one little area here of this other tree, but we don't see a lot of bloom yet on cogswall. So this is ice cream. Oh, we've got a little bit of bloom on ice cream. That's the first I've noticed right here. It's just a little bit slower this year than some of the other varieties. Malika, not seeing anything on this. This is Neelam, a little bit emerging. See if I can pull this down. So we got a little bit of bloom going on here. Oh, let's see, what is this? Takes me a second to remember with some of these trees because it's been a while. This is Namdak Mai again, that's what it is. It's when I planted the grove, I didn't put all of the trees of the same variety in the same area. A lot of times I put them around, and so that gives you sort of a different, slightly different microclimate, and so it's not good when you haven't like thought of some of these single trees in the grove for a while. And yes, this is a Namdak Mai, and we've got a lot of fruit over on, I mean not a lot of fruit, fruit to be, a lot of flowers on this area of the tree and a little bit on the top and the south side. So as far as the Namdak Mai go, this is, this particular tree is flowering ahead of a lot of the other ones. This is lemon meringue, and not much happening here. We've got Beverly on this side. Not a lot of flowers. I'm not seeing any on this side of the tree for Beverly. Here's Promkabia. And actually, I see some flowers over on this area. Last season was crazy with this tree. Oh, here's another, this is a little more noticeable flower. But I should say Promkamu is a lot, it's a very precocious bloomer. We had, I think, 3 different crops from this tree, the last one being, like maybe a handful of fruit. But still, it blooms a lot of times when other varieties do not. So anyway, it's got a little bit of bloom now, but I am confident that we're going to have a lot of fruit next year because it just seems to make a lot of fruit. Over here is Dupuis Saigon. Not seeing flowers yet. It looks like it's in a pretty calm stage, so hopefully this cold that we've been having recently will inspire it to bloom. This is a couple of cherry trees on this side, and these are looking good. A lot of bloom on cherry. Here's a kit tree, and this tree was getting really big, so I cut it back. You can see we've got a lot of flowers on it, and I'm actually putting peach cobbler on this part of the tree, and so we've got a lot of peach cobbler that's young, and hopefully won't bloom. I'm preparing a scion here, and I'm hoping that those are leaves, but I don't know if you can tell, but these buds are pretty rounded, so when you get round buds instead of sort of pointy ones, a lot of times they'll indicate that flowers are coming, so not a great sign, but we still can hope. And that is kit flower there. More flowers. This whole tree here is kit. We've got a lot of flowers coming here also. Of course, this is the Carrie we were just talking about. And right here is the Malika. Now this is the exact same row as the first Malika we were just talking about. And a lot of difference between that tree and this tree. We've got a lot of bloom coming right here in this part of the tree. We even have it on the north side of the tree here, some bloom, not as heavy, but this tree is on a whole different schedule than the first Malika. And we have Palmer here. Palmer's a nice late variety, and so it's not flowering yet, but I'm guessing it will flower. Hopefully we'll get a nice crop this year. And then we have some lemon, and then we have Valencia Pride here, and also right next door. Valencia Pride is just not blooming yet, so hopefully all of our Valencia Pride trees will bloom soon. And I've got 3 more trees in this area. This one is Page. Page is a little known but much appreciated variety, large fruit, and so hopefully that one will hold a lot of fruit this year. Of course, because the fruit are so large, it can't hold tons of it. Then right here is Glen, and this is probably the star Glen bloomer right now. This is all south exposure for this particular tree, and there's a lot of bloom on it. And then finally, this is a Namdok Mai tree, and it does have some bloom there and over here, but not blooming yet in in any sort of volume or quantity. So that completes the northeast part of the grove. A lot of flowers coming, and we're hoping for a lot of fruit.